And I do something called the open-eyed meditation, which means I see things and I see things and I try to see things a little deeper, where I'm able to try to find its spiritual relevance in my life. And you can also choose to uh, have this open-eyed meditation. Whatever you see, it becomes something where you can absorb and extract the essence of what it is that we can learn from it. And it's what sages are always doing, and they document it so nicely. So I want to share with you this meditation I have had, how to create a heart space. Do you all mind if I wear glasses? Because I can see you better. Okay. So this heart space, how to create this heart space, is something that I've been meditating on this week. So the wisdom texts or the yoga texts, or sometimes it's also known as the Puranas, the Vedas, they have very beautiful, detailed description of a city called the Nine Gates. A city of nine gates. You may be wondering, what is the city of nine gates? The city of nine gates are your two eyes, your two ears, nose, mouth, and two below that is not always something that we talk about in our yoga classes. So this body, being the city of nine gates, it's a very, very complex ecosystem within the city of nine gates. And each one of these gates in the city has a unique function of how we interact, what goes in and what goes out within the city. And we have the beautiful opportunity to design the city in such a way that you almost can control who comes into the city and who leaves the city. And it's a very beautiful example given in the wisdom texts. And within the city, there is a very beautiful, massive mansion. The most beautiful, decorated mansion. And within this beautiful mansion, there is a master room where it's the most exquisite, the most beautiful place. And in that room is where the soul, the beautiful consciousness that we are, is residing, along with the supreme consciousness. So imagine this, huh? I don't know if you're able to visualize the city, the beautiful mansion in the city, and within this mansion, there's so many rooms. There's a room for your first love, there's a room for your second love, and you have so many rooms for so many people. But within this mansion, there is a unique, special room where we, the individual consciousness, is sitting with the supreme transcendental spiritual consciousness. It is that room that holds the space of eternity. It is in that space where you can experience transcendental spiritual joy. And it is in that space where everything that you could possibly experience permanently it is situated. And it is the place where the highest treasure in life is situated. So, this is the meditation I've been having. How our spiritual journey is that sacred heart space. It is that sacred space within this city, within this mansion, not in all the rooms. Because if you leave your room and you go to other rooms, you'll find so many other memories that you wish that didn't happen. So in that room that we're sitting with, it is the most treasured room because it has everything that is transcendental, everything that is permanent, and everything that is most exquisitely beautiful. So, I want to tell you a small story. A child, he's growing up with his mother and his father, and they're extremely wealthy. And he's living this life. Fast forward, as all things in this material world, the mother and father departs this world. And he wants to know, where is all this wealth? He wants to know where mother and father, what bank account, what Swiss bank account, what Cayman Islands, and wherever the wealth was stored. So he was trying to find his parents' wealth. And he looked everywhere, and he started to lose focus. He wanted to know where this wealth is. So he goes to an astrologer. In India, it's a very common thing. When you're confused, you go to an astrologer. When you're sad, you go to an astrologer. Anything going wrong in your life, you go to an astrologer to find like what's going on. Because we all want to know, how long this is going to last and, what's the new excitement. So this boy goes to an astrologer. And he asked the astrologer, I want to know, where did my mother and father, where is the treasure? Did they bury it in the backyard? Did they bury it? Where did they put all this treasure? And my dear beautiful souls, the astrologer explained, my dear child, the treasure is not very far. It is deeply hidden. And only you have the access. And only you have the code. And the son is thinking, how is this possible? How do I not know? And this guy knows that I have the treasure. So in his mind, he's pondering what to do. And then the sage explains to him the real treasure, the most powerful treasure, is the treasure of having access to this divine connection with you and whoever your individual God is, and being with that, in that deep relationship of permanent eternal happiness. So then finally the son gets it. He's like, okay, now I get it. All these things that my father left me, that wasn't the real deal. The real deal is to really, really look inside. So then he's trying to figure out, what is this thing, what is this treasure that this astrologer, this saintly astrologer is telling me about? So the secret is, he's realizing, the more he is going into his heart, the more he's realizing that the relationship that he has with the supreme consciousness within the heart, that relationship is a transaction of, it's a transmittance of consciousness. So what that means is our relationship, we will have access to the heart to the degree of our consciousness, how high it goes, how deep it goes into finding our true spiritual self within our heart. To that degree of consciousness, we will be able to communicate and relate to the divine. It is not a relationship of the mind and the body and the intellect. It is not a relationship, it's not that you just feel warm and fuzzy. It is not that you get just a sudden physical high or a mental high or an intellectual high. It is the high of spiritual consciousness. That communication, that relationship exchange, it is an exchange of divine, unalloyed, pure, unconditional, transcendental, eternal love. That is what is being exchanged between the individual consciousness and the supreme consciousness. And the mood in that consciousness is completely imbued with pure love. The consciousness is flowing because it is imbued with pure love. So I want to tell you another story, another small story. It is there in this ancient text called Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is a story of a young novice monk. And he was told by his teachers that if you really, really try to access your relationship with the divine, then you have to do something called the sadhana practice. And to the degree you intensify your personal sadhana, to that degree you'll be able to have the spiritual relationship with the divine within your heart. Consciousness is not outside, it is inside. The supreme consciousness is inside. So what does this boy do? He starts meditating every day and just getting super focused in his sadhana. I was mentioning to some of my students that I was just in India and I went to a place called Mayapur. I have a student there and he's an older student. He's in his late 50s. And he's been doing sadhana for 16 hours a day for the last 15 years. And I met him very briefly because I didn't want to interrupt his sadhana. Imagine 16 hours a day of spiritual sadhana, cultivating his heart space. And when I spoke to him, he just seemed so happy, calm, and peaceful. And I said, "How is everything going?" He said, "Everything is going." And I said, "Okay, let's not get too philosophical here. Who is taking care of you? Are you healthy? Are you okay?" He said, "Everything is being taken care of." And I said, "Okay, let me not be too dumb and ask you more specific questions." So then we had some nice exchanges. I offered him my love and I left. And I was meditating on this exchange. This consciousness that we come to is a consciousness, very important. There's two reflections. His consciousness is of an observer. He realizes, he's come to a realization that He's not the seer. He's not seeing anything in this world. He's not the one who's hearing. He's not the one who's breathing. He is an observer of the breath. He is an observer of his thought. He is an observer of all the sounds that are coming in. Basically, he realizes he doesn't do anything other than sit in one place for 16 hours and do his sadhana. And I found out from other people all around him that somehow all the other monks, they're just so encouraged and enthused and affected by his energy that they all get together and somehow they all do his laundry, they clean up his ashram, they bring food for him, and he basically has time to eat and do his service and 16 hours of sadhana. But his consciousness is that I am not the doer. And this is the consciousness that we have when there's beautiful exchanges happening between the individual consciousness and the supreme consciousness. It is just happening. You realize everything is happening around you, with you, and through you, and you're simply an observer. And then, I give this common example that when we eat something, we grab the food and we put it in our mouth. That is the extent of the amount of work we have to do. How the food is broken down and transformed into different liquids and turns into energy and sustains this body. It's not done by us. Someone else is doing it. So this is the level of consciousness we're talking about. That when we are truly situated in our heart, then we can truly experience this spiritual relationship with the divine. Now, it's common in this world that there's millions and millions of courses on transformation. Every time you are talking to someone, you say, oh, I'm doing this course on transformation, and this transformation, that transformation, this change, and I'm going to change into this, I'm going to change into this, I'm going to, practicing this, this practice called abundance, where everything will just come to me. But in yoga philosophy, and the sages are explaining that this process of bhakti is not of transformation. It is a process of self-revelation, is rediscovering yourself. Each and every one of you, my dear beautiful souls, each and every one of you are perfect. There is nothing that is wrong with you. There's nothing you need to change. There's nothing you need to add. There's nothing you need to subtract. What the sages are saying is that you are already complete. Why are you trying to accumulate something more that is already complete? So they have a good laugh when we little jivas, we little souls, are trying to complete something that is already complete. So the sages are saying, no, please, let us not look outside to change anything. Something that is perfect, something that is already a masterpiece. We don't need to try and collect more little pieces to create a masterpiece. Because the sages are saying we are already a masterpiece. And you have access to that. But yet, we are thinking how to collect more little pieces hoping that we may become a masterpiece. So, the recommendation of the sages, practical recommendations, are, I want to give you these 2 points that you can remember. When we do our daily meditation and practices, this is the consciousness with which we can practice this, and you will notice there will be a change in yourself. When you sit down for yoga, when you sit for meditation, please tell yourself that I am already complete. I am an eternal soul. I'm an eternal spirit soul, completely filled with love in my relationship with the divine. If you tell yourself this and you remind yourself this before you start your sadhana, you will notice there will be changes in your consciousness and how you're able to have a deeper, in-depth experience of what spirituality really is. What that individual spirit and the divine spirit, what it really is. Practical step number 2 is anything that happens in our world, we step back and we simply observe, to know that we are not the doer. Everything is happening through us, with us, and around us. It's all happening, and that you do nothing. When you realize this consciousness of being the non-doer, that everything is happening with you, it does not mean that you don't do anything. Please, I don't mean to say that. You must do, you must act, you must live your life, but to realize how all of it is happening through you. The eyes are seeing, you're not seeing, the eyes are seeing, so you're seeing through the eyes. So you are simply the seer, the observer of everything in this world, and it's simply happening through you. So these are the 2 practical steps that I would like to recommend all of you practice. And maybe you'll have an experience where you can have deeper access. Because when you have this consciousness, then through this consciousness, the doors to the heart opens. The door to the heart where you are situated with the divine opens. So bhakti, or this unconditional, pure, eternal spiritual love, this practice is what opens the door to the heart, to that unique door in the heart where you are situated in your loving relationship with the divine. So this is my heart message for this week. If there's any, yes, I wanted to ask if anybody has any reflections. I wanted to call upon, yes, Brittany, please share with us your reflections on this topic.
Oh, Hare Krishna Vedanji, thank you so much. I'm literally just sitting here with tears streaming down my face, because when you describe that loving relationship that you have access to, and the feeling of unconditional love that I now have the privilege of experiencing, when, like 5 years ago, I had no awareness that any of this existed, and so many people are walking around without any of that. So for you to give me this meditation to be able to access it even a little bit easier, this feeling that I have felt in the past, I just feel really grateful. I feel a little bit undeserving of all of that love. I look back on how I've behaved in the past and who I've been, and I don't know what brought me there, but this meditation I think is really gonna help me. I live in a place where I'm not around devotees, and I constantly get asked, I get a lot of people kind of poke fun at what I do and how I spend my time and going on pilgrimage and my worship. And you so beautifully described why I do this. People ask me why, and sometimes it just comes out seeming a little wishy-washy, but the reason why is because I have access to this unconditional love that I have never felt before. And that was just really beautiful. Thank you for that. That's all. I'm so overwhelmed with tears right now. I don't know what's going on. I just feel like you made it a little easier for me to find that little piece that keeps me going. Thank you, Vita G, and thank you guys for letting me ramble for a moment.
We love your beautiful heart, and we can feel your love that you're experiencing. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, that was beautiful. Who else would like to share? Whoever wants to share, because I decided that I don't want to have 1 hour of Veda rant. So I thought that's better we hear some of your hearts. Balaram, are you with us? Let's go, Balaram.
No. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I really liked what Brittany said. I had something else to say, but when I see that like spontaneous emotion, it's so refreshing to see people being their real selves. I think that's what keeps me coming back again and again to this heart space and to this sangha, is like people just revealing what's inside their hearts and feeling happy to do it. Not like, sometimes people have a bad day and they can't keep the mask on anymore and it cracks and they finally have to show themselves. Like, not that kind of vulnerability, but people who want to share and they want to show that, like, there's something deeper and a space. I mean, you were talking about the heart space inside, but I see that reflected so much in a community of people who all understand that and who all acknowledge that and encourage it. And it's just such a beautiful thing. And it supported me so much in helping it become part of my identity. Like, I think Brittany said something about, like, at least I understood it, like, it's like the narrative we have about ourselves and how we understand ourselves. Like, sometimes we do crazy things. Like in my life, I've been so steady, and then all of a sudden it's like I take a hard left and I don't know why I did that. Like, everything's going good and I just, have a moment and I'm like, and you spend years sometimes thinking, like, why did my life take these turns and twists? And is there something wrong with me? Is there just some demon in my head? Is it a mistake? And, we try to look for the good and we try to understand it as a journey. But this message of the heart really completes the picture, and it makes it into, it really resonates with me that the heart is the core. The picture only makes sense of who I am or why life is the way it is or why people act the way they do when I see the heart as the core. And so every time we have this message, it really clears everything up, which for a mental case like me is really important, to try to make things make a little bit of sense, because otherwise it's like when I try to do something that I think is going to make me happy, it doesn't make me happy. And sometimes things that, like, I've had these beautiful moments of going to my heart, usually right after something terrible happened. And it makes me very confused as to which way I'm supposed to be going. And for somebody who likes to go fast, I want to go fast. I don't know which way to go. And for years, that was so alarming. And my life's been transformed by meeting Veda Ji and by spending time with the Sangha and having some people to help remind me of the direction, not give me a direction, but to remind me of the direction. And I'm so grateful for all of you.
Balaram, for those of you who haven't met his heart yet, he is the director of our Food for Lives in Atlanta. He is every day in our 7,000 square foot kitchen, dealing with 30, 40, 50, 60 volunteers, fraternities and sororities and different companies coming to experience what this life of service is all about. So I'm super honored and grateful to have such amazing, loving brothers and Sangha members. So thank you, Balaram. Erica, you had your hands up. Would you like to share?
Yeah, I just wanted to say and express gratitude for finding this group. And today's session really spoke to my heart because recently in recent years, I've been really struggling with my health, and I have a lot of these different diagnoses and these diseases, and I've had many, many, many surgeries. I can't seem to stop and I can't seem to heal. And it's causing me to feel very depressed and like there's something wrong with me because I just can't seem to get better and I can't work. And when you spoke about there being nothing wrong with you and, you know, being fine the way you are and just loving who your heart is, it really spoke to me. And when the last person shared also about how it seems like something terrible happens before you get redirected back to your heart, that spoke to me because I've had a really rough week this week and it's been very difficult to pick myself up and I just keep asking like what I'm doing wrong and why can't I heal? And I was tearing up while you were speaking. And so thank you so much for sharing. And thank you guys so much for this group. It's been so wonderful and loving to be embraced with such beautiful souls. I can't wait to see some of you, hopefully, in the Gita Nagari retreat. And I'm hoping that I'm able to work enough to come to the Connecticut one as well. But thank you guys so much for having me. And thank you for the lovely session.
Erica, we all love you very much. Thank you for sharing. Okay. We may have room for one more sharing, one more reflection. Anybody wants to share? I cannot see any hands. Keshav, you see any hands?
Oh, Diane?
Okay.
Sure, I'll share. That was really beautiful. Gosh, I'm tearing up with everybody else's reflections. This was just really comforting that like no matter what negative things go on in our head or to our body, like it's okay because we're already okay and we're already whole and we're already connected to the divine, and that's all that matters in the end. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Diane. Okay. If you all agree that we'll keep this calls, I prefer not to speak for 1 hour because sometimes I feel like, you know, Veda, you need to be quiet. And I observe and I think and I meditate and then I journal and then I'm like, you know, I need to share my heart 1 week of meditation with the seekers, with the students of life. We're all students. And so I'm thinking to keep it 25 minutes to half hour, and then whoever wants to share, and then within 45 minutes, then you can be freed of my rants. So that was something that I wanted all of your blessings of permission for. And yeah, if you give me your blessings, then we keep it short and sweet. Just, you know, because the reason this whole concept of Heartspace, actually Keshav conceived this idea, and I think it was largely because we're just meeting one day with Diana Devi and the Connecticut crew. And it was late night after a program. And we were just sharing. It was such a beautiful discussion of spirituality and life, and everyone sharing their hearts. I just remember it being such a space where time kind of disappeared from that 2 hours or 4 hours that we were sitting together. Like we all forgot that there was anything such thing as time. And it was the beauty of everyone sharing their hearts. I think that's where this whole heart space, having a heart space call specifically related to the heart. And that's why I try to tap into my realizations throughout the week and my observations. And then I try to share it with all of you. So I think 30 minutes, it's good. And then whoever would like to share, because, one thing I realized is when we get to meet other hearts, then your heart becomes more joyful. In the world of material exchanges, all transactions and communications are just mind talking to another mind, an intellect talking to another intellect. But not very often do we have where one heart speaks to another heart. So like today, Brittany sharing her heart, and I know her heart because I've seen her on other calls. I've never met her in person, but I know her heart because she's this beautiful person that is so sincere and transparent and loving and compassionate. And she dedicates her heart every single morning to her sadhana and worshiping her beautiful, the deities of her heart. And to hear her heart open, it, makes our heart open more. And of course, Balaram and Erica sharing. So this is what I was thinking, the format, if all of you are okay with it. Give me a thumbs up or something to say it's okay. Yes. Okay, so we'll keep it. We'll keep Veda.
Do we really want to keep the call short?
We'll box them in half an hour.
Can we still do an hour call?
Okay, any housekeeping announcements? Keshavi, Nitai, Balaram?
I was wondering, well, does anybody have questions? Did you ask anybody if they have questions? I had a question, but if we don't have time, we can do it later.
Today we still have 10 minutes because it's still 1 hour.
Okay, if nobody else has a question. So the 2 points you gave were to realize that we're not the doer, which makes complete sense. Maybe not logically, but I'm wondering, like, understanding
Can I pause you for a second?
Yes.
Because you made such a good point, not logically, right? But this realization will come when you have access to your heart. All realized knowledge, because we have theoretical knowledge, realized knowledge, when you practice, you realize. And then the revealed knowledge is the knowledge that comes from your heart in your relationship with the divine. So you will realize it. But we have to that access is what we have when we get into our heart. So please carry on. I didn't mean to. I just love when you said that you haven't realized it yet, but you will.
Well, I mean, it's realized, but how do you, when in, like, as you're involved in your daily life and you're getting wrapped up in the mind, what's going on in the mind, and you don't, like, you're not thinking of that. And I know obviously sadhana is how you get there, because that was the first point. But is there anything else? I mean, yeah, maybe we can pause and stop ourselves before we get too carried away. But how do you realize that you're not the doer, if that makes sense?
Yeah. I think he wants to. Luke, would you like to answer that? Please.
Yeah, I feel like for anyone on this path, like or anyone in life, it doesn't have to be about the sadhana, which obviously practices are great for this, but what I've learned is most of my miracles in life came from me just surrendering and finding acceptance. So I guess really just stepping back and allowing life to take its course, and then things kind of just start working out, and then I had these realizations like I had nothing to do with this, but yet everything worked out perfectly. All I had to do was surrender and basically just let go of trying to control the outcome.
Beautiful. Love it. Very, very authentic, realized knowledge right there. So yes, what he said is very spot on, that whenever we are stuck, to step back is very important. I always recommend people, when you're angry, wait for it to express it. If you hold on to your anger, just sit with it for a couple of hours, and then you'll realize that anger will disappear. And I always recommend journaling is a real yoga practice because it becomes your reality. So when you journal, whenever we have any difficulties we're facing, our back is against the wall, we just have to sit and journal what is going on right in our lives. As soon as you start to focus on what is going on right in your life, you'll get access to your heart. Because the heart, there's nothing wrong with the heart. And everything is right with the heart. So you have to, as soon as you start writing what is going on right, it takes you straight into your heart. And then, because it's far away, your heart is far away from your mind, then you get a very good look at the mind. And then you immediately put on your this suit of being the observer. And then it becomes easier. So practical steps would be to step back and journal. And journal what is right. Because the mind, whatever is going on wrong, the mind has a tendency to magnify that. And magnify it, make it so big, that everyone in the world is responsible for your pain and suffering. Not just that one person, but everybody. And then we start dogging on capitalism, all these businessmen, they're responsible. At the end, the government is responsible, but then all the governments are connected, they're all responsible. Everybody in this world is responsible for my miseries. So that's the nature of the mind. But as soon as we start journaling, the intelligence gets involved. Intelligence is the mother, gets involved and starts bringing you back to the heart. Because that is right. I don't know, Keshavi, if that makes any sense. But I really like Luke's answer. Narayani Devi, you want to add something?
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for this class. It was beautiful. And I really love people sharing their realizations from their heart. That was really touching. Thank you. And it just reminds me so much of what you're saying is it seems like is what the whole Bhagavad Gita is about, what Krishna is saying to Arjuna, just become an instrument.
Yes.
And so that's what we're trying to do, just become an instrument for the Lord to work through us. And I really liked what Luke said about surrendering also, because every time I feel like I just lay things at Krishna's feet, like, whoo, I can't handle this. I need to lay this at Krishna's feet. That's when the magic happens, when through the surrendering.
Yes, yes, yes. Beautiful. We'll have a whole class on surrender. We'll do a surrender experiment. Okay. Thank you so much, Narayani. And thank each and every one of you. Please know that you are the most loved, the most precious, the most beautiful soul ever created. And each and every one of us are so distinctively unique. That is how much our Creator loves us. So thank you very much. Please have a wonderful weekend.
Oh wait, announcements.
Announcements. Okay.
I think we've mentioned this a few times already, but we do have a retreat coming up in Connecticut in July. If anybody would like to join us from anywhere, really, we would love to see and meet some of you that we haven't already met. And of course, all the regulars, please come too.
Anything happening before that?
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just put the website link in the group chat for anybody who isn't connected through social media or any other venue. And yes, we will just keep sending it repeatedly until we get all of these beautiful people to come. So ante up, let's go. Let's make it this like so cool, energetic, like Mercy at the Sea. It's so beautiful. So come. It'll all work.
Thank you,
It's in the
Liz.
chat.
Anything else, Keshavi?
We actually have a kirtan in Connecticut coming up as well. Veda's going to be visiting in February, mid-February, President's Day weekend. So if anybody would like to join us for that, please do too, if you're around the area. And yeah, if you are not following Veda on Veda G on Instagram, I believe it's Veda the Monk is his handle. So please follow there. There's a lot of great content they're putting out right now.
Okay. I think we had enough announcements. Thank you so much, beautiful souls. Please have a wonderful night, those of you in Europe. Have a great day in the United States. And good night in Philippines. Good night in India. Namaste, everyone.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Veda.
Mhm.